I used to hear not every opportunity is a blessing, and you do not just accept every gift that is given to you. And I used to laugh at them. Why would an opportunity come your way and you wouldn't grab it with both hands? Maybe them, but not me, Uthman. My father was a very hardworking man. Everything I know today, I learned from him. He was a suya businessman with a beautiful recipe that raised all 9 children of his. As one of his sons, I made sure I learned the recipe from beginning to the end with something extra, a smile. And after SS3, I made sure I left Kano to Abuja to start my own suya business. I was young and I had big dreams. I made sure I worked hard and I opened my own suya business in the central district of Abuja. It was a small and modest suya spot, but I made sure every time my customers came around, I made them smile, I made them feel comfortable, and best of all, they had to taste my father's beautiful secret recipe. It was all beautiful, it was all wonderful. Once any customer came to my shop and tasted the suya, they became repeat customers. They came over and over again just to enjoy the beautiful delicacy. And aside from the suya being delicious, I was well trained. I understood the business from A to Z. I was making about Dubu Eriko, Dubu Eribu in terms of sales. I also had event bookings. I catered for events and life was good. And there was this particular customer, Mallam Danjuma. He would always come every weekend to patronize me. Sometimes he would buy suya of 15,000, sometimes 20, sometimes even 30. We would sit down together and he would tell me how he loved to enjoy my suya and how I used to think small. He would always tell me I should think big. That year, he booked me for his end of the year event and I made triple of what I make in a month. Well, after the event, I went to sit down with him and to thank him very much for the wonderful opportunity. We got talking and he started to ask me again about my business and if I had plans to expand it like we discussed before. To be very honest, I was very comfortable with where I was. Like I said, I'm a simple man. I don't mind making my 150K or 200K a month, as long as I could sustain my family back home. I mean, there was no need to push forward from there. Everything was fine. And as always, he would say I was thinking too small, that I needed to expand my business, that I needed to reach for the stars. I had a good product, but I wasn't pushing it. I just took it as all talk because, you know, when people are enjoying their food, they tend to talk about a lot of things. He had promised to get back to me after he came back from his trip abroad, but I did not take it seriously. I just nodded my head, said things like, "Thank you, sir," and I didn't keep it in my mind at all. 2 months later, I got a call from Mallam Danjuma's assistant saying I should make a delivery of 40,000 naira suya. I mean, I was very excited. I was going to send a dispatch rider, but she insisted that this order be brought by me personally. I was confused. Was Mallam Danjuma serious about the discussion we had about expanding my business? I immediately went to my grill and I even burnt a couple of suya sticks. But I made it work somehow and I was there at his house. Immediately I got to his house, he was not around and I was very disappointed. I was about to leave, but his assistant now told me to meet with his lawyer. I did not know what was happening. Was I in trouble? So I finally met and discussed with the lawyer, and he spoke about expanding my business, trying to set me up with new equipment, new staff in Jabi Lake Mall. I was surprised. I asked if Mallam Danjuma was trying to buy my business from me. But no, he said I should just take it as goodwill from him. He told me the business was all mine, but there would be an accountant that would run everything concerning the accounting of the business. I had never heard about this kind of business arrangement before, but the lawyer told me that Mallam Danjuma simply liked me and I made the best suya. So why not invest in someone like that? I was so happy. 1 month had passed, 2 months had passed. I did not hear from Danjuma or the lawyer. I was beginning to think, was all this just a dream?
Uthman was depressed at some point. He was worried. He felt down sometimes. But you know one thing I was happy about? Atiti mo kafara. Ayan titi ni mu. And akwai abin da ake ce. Sun su daya hannu ya fi dari a daji. He never let go of what he was doing. If we had left the streets, maybe went back home, sat down and hoping that Mr. Danjuma would just show up and say, okay, take the keys and start working, would have been starving by now. So this particular day, he got a call from the lawyer to come to Jabi Mall.
Immediately, I dropped everything I was doing and ran as fast as I could. What I saw, I was amazed.
Finally, my brother is a shop owner. Wait, did I say shop? No. Pensa abin da ake ce restaurant, shi aka bamu. Ga decoration kyau banza. Ga waitresses, and basu uniform. It was everything we prayed for and more.
Everything was in place. The beautiful shop, the beautiful grills. He even introduced me to some of the female staff and accountants. I was amazed. I could not believe my eyes. In fact, I actually cried. I have not cried in a long while. Finally, my father's recipe, my father's hard work in training me in the business of suya making, it finally paid off in a big way. I asked the lawyer if I could see Mallam Danjuma, but he told me he wasn't available, but I should sign all possible documents and begin work immediately.
As expected of a new business, for the first 1-2 months, business wasn't going so well, but something shocking happened. At the end of the month, Uthman received an alert of 1.5 million naira from an unknown account. I mean, if it was going to be his salary for a business that is not doing well yet, we weren't expecting such huge amount of money. But we got that at the end of the month.
I decided to ask the accountant for the books of the business, but the response I got was very shocking. She told me she had sent everything to who had needed to see it.
The lawyer. She sent it to the lawyer. And my brother was so confused. But then I had to call him. Uthman, in ta fara karni kaman kifi, babun tulare da zaka amfani kulle ta fara kanshi kaman flour. When it starts smelling like fish, there is no amount of perfume that you're going to use to make it smell like a roast flour. When it's fishy, it's fishy. Be careful.
I know I did not spend a kobo opening the business, but regardless, I should be in charge of the income and I should be in charge of running the business.
My brother was really confused because he knows how much he has made so far, what he has sold in that same shop. And how on earth did we come about an alert of 1.5 million naira? He was confused. And guess whose number finally went through?
He got to pick my call and he explained to me they catered some events, they made some deliveries, but it still did not make sense to me. 1.5 million on catering of events and deliveries. But in the end, I really did not mind The money was coming in monthly. I was receiving 1.5 million monthly.
Uthman was so happy. I mean, we were scared, but things turned out to be very okay at the end of the day. And as a good son that my brother is, he had to send some money home to Baba and Mama. But then, when my father saw that alert, he had to call immediately.
My father thought that it was a mistake. He was always used to getting 30,000, sometimes 20,000, but on a very good month, 50,000. But this time I had sent him 300,000 and he could not believe it.
Where? How? We had to tell them to calm down. And Uthman explained how everything has been going and how well his business is going. And my father came to a realization that Jabi Mo was really favoring us. My brother moved from his self-contained apartment at Dutse to a 2-bedroom furnished apartment in Kubwa. And I'm also forgetting to tell you that he bought a car. I mean, no to keke, no to bikes, it was the end.
The business was making a lot of money and I was doing little to nothing. I was bored. I needed something to keep me busy. So I asked the lawyer if I could open smaller branches that I could manage myself. And he said, no problem. I just missed making suya by myself. So I opened a branch in Gwarimpa and Kubwa. And they both became very successful.
Everything was going smoothly and fine. But then, he hasn't seen Mallam Danjuma in such a long while. The last time they met was at the end of the year party when Mallam Danjuma promised to change his life and do things for him.
But I really did not mind because I was making profit. I was able to get a car. I was able to get a 2-bedroom furnished apartment. I was very comfortable. My family was comfortable.
But then, we wanted to even say thank you. Wanted to see him in person to show our gratitude, to extend our father's gratitude too. But we couldn't reach him.
So I decided to throw a party after a year to celebrate my success.
That party. That party. I don't want to say anything. I really don't. But it was Nkwenja Anche party for one Chene Anakira party. But you know one shocking thing about it? He invited the lawyer and also Mr. Danjuma. But none of them showed up. And that was suspicious to me.
But I still did not really see it as anything. One day I was doing a routine check of my other branches, like I always do. What I saw that day almost gave me a heart attack.
EFCC under investigation. That was what my brother saw when he went to the shop that day. He was confused. Where was he going to start from? How?
I thought it was a mistake. EFCC under investigation, boldly written on the building. I began to get calls from the other branches. The staff were crying and shouting. I could not understand what was going on.
EFCC shut down all my brother's branches. Not just Jabi. Every other suya shop my brother owns, every other branch my brother had opened was shut down by the EFCC. I mean, where was he going to start from?
Me, EFCC. This has never happened before. I was raised to be an upright man, a hardworking and upright individual. This was unheard of.
My brother had never in his life involved himself with anything that had to do with fraud. I mean, while growing up, children who gamble would do a lot of things, but my brother always stayed out of it. Everyone in the neighborhood know how innocent my brother is. So why EFCC all of a sudden? Why was his business shut down? What did he do?
After several weeks of deep digging, I finally met someone in EFCC that explained everything to me. I was told that my business was among a list of companies that were used to launder public funds. I was told that if I continue to move on with this business, that I will be prosecuted for willful blindness.
I never knew what it meant, but I had to look it up. It had to do with my brother, only to find out that it meant a decision not to make a report of a wrongdoing despite being suspicious. I mean, we're just suspicious. We never knew it was. Where was it going to start from? We can't fight the government. We're told of that already. And it was at that point we knew it was all over.
Everything that I had built was all gone. I even liquidated my account. I sold my car. I sold my 2-bedroom apartment. I was absolutely miserable. I even reached out to people I borrowed money to when I was doing very well, when I could help them in every way possible. Only a few were able to get back to me.
After running around, he was able to raise up to 5 million naira. Guess what he did with the money?
I went back to doing what I know how to do best, making great suya that my father taught me. I opened this business in Gwarimpa. Yes, I know it was not as good as what I used to have, but I had no choice. I was starting all over from the beginning. But the big difference now is I have full control of the business. I know where every naira and kobo came from. No second guessing, no sleepless nights thinking about what went wrong. And I knew how much I was spending and also how much exactly I was making in sales.
If this had happened to someone, just maybe, the person would have been crippled by now. The person would have been depressed. But then, Uthman picked up himself, gave himself another shot, and started all over again. Yes, he might not be where he was some months ago, but he's not doing so bad for himself because he gave himself another chance.
But now, I always ask the right questions, and I always have to examine every opportunity that comes my way. I will never make that kind of mistake again. I hope that you really learned something from my story and that not all blessing is actually a blessing.